right, welcome into Gridiron Icon. Another week and another fantastic guest. I am joined by my co-host and friend, NFL legend and icon Preston Denard. And we have somebody very special this week. Our guest is a former professional football player who played for the Denver Broncos and the New Orleans Saints of the NFL, and then had the unique experience of also playing in the World Football League with the Birmingham Vulcans and the Southern California Sun. He is a rare three-sport athlete from Fort Lewis College who was inducted into the school's Skyhawks Athletics Sports Hall of Fame. He needs no introduction. Welcome in Cephus Weatherspoon.
Get your own audience. You like that, right?
Oh, I like that.
We get a big crowd. We get a big crowd here. Right. Thanks to Preston. Fantastic to meet you, sir. And we like to just jump right in. What we like to do is just go back to the beginning. I think what makes this show special and what Preston has added with some of his friends and peers is just being able to go back to see how people became who they are. So let's go back to the beginning. How'd you start playing sports?
Well, start off, my family moved to Globe, Arizona when I was a kid, about 6 years old. And what really got me into it, my father had a sister. His name was Clay Freeney, and he played at Arizona State University. He was supposed to be a #1 draft choice back there in the 60s, and he was a running back. And as a kid, I used to go watch him play during halftime. As little kids, we run out in the field and we emulate, hey, we want to be a running back. So that's how I really got started in the football, was by my cousin. And so that's where I started to say, hey, that's what I wanted to do. And I was probably about 8 years old.
Wow. You started playing football as early as 8 years old. Was Pop Warner still a thing?
It sure was.
Okay.
I started out in Pop Warner. I thought about it when I was around 8 or 9. When I started Pop Warner, I was 10 years old. And that's where the football career took off as Pop Warner. I was a little running back at the time.
Wow, a running back.
A running back, yes.
A running back. So was that, so you started in football, and back in those days when I was playing Pop Warner, there was all these weight limits by age and all this stuff. Back when you started, they were just throwing kids into the mix, right? Big
Exactly.
kids, small kids. Wow.
It sure was. Mm-hmm.
And you were running the ball.
I was running the ball. I was a, fast little kid with quick feet and stuff. And all my little friends and peers that said, hey, Cephus, man, you're fast. You're going to go somewhere in this world. You're going to probably end up playing sports and stuff. And you listen to that and whatever. But ever since I was a little kid, I knew what I wanted to do. And I wanted to be an NFL star, whether it was basketball, football, baseball. That's where my focus was. And so that's where, I started focusing in. And that's what I wanted to do. Worked hard, had good discipline, from my dad, and a lot of dedication. And he said, always be the best you can be. Don't let other people stop you from doing what you want to do. And I've always had that in my mind. And I just took off from there.
Incredible. I think one of the things I personally enjoy in this little show is just hearing how everybody got started on this thing, because at the beginning, you don't know what you like, and you just kind of jump in. And if you have it, we meet a lot of athletes who were incredibly talented, but then didn't really take to the sport or took to a different sport. Did you play multiple sports? Because I know that you are a very well-rounded athlete.
Yeah, I played all 3 sports all through high school, from football, basketball. I was a track star. I was a quarter miler. I had the fastest time in the state of Arizona back in the 60s. I still have my high school record in the quarter. So I had 3 scholarships. I had one for football, basketball, and track when I went to Fort Lewis. So my education, I went from one sport to another sport. So I didn't have a break.
Unbelievable. When you mean a break, like there was no off season for you.
There wasn't no off season for me, because as soon as football season was over, then it was basketball getting ready to start, and then it was track, and this and that. So I jumped from one sport to another, and I'm in 3 Hall of Fames, and all 3 sports I'm in the Hall of Fame at Fort Lewis College.
Wow. There's the crowd.
Spoon, I just got to say, okay, so first of all, I'm always teasing him because, you know, we both grew up in Arizona. Right. He was in Globe, I was in Tempe. He's just probably a pencil long, older than I, but one of the things I used to tell him is that when I was in high school, I used to watch him play, and we're going to talk about his junior college days too, but I used to watch him when he was in junior college. And one thing I noticed about Spoon, he could jump. But going back, I still do some traveling on business, and I go through Globe every now and then. And I keep calling him. I get him on the phone. I say, Spoon, they still got your statue out here in the middle of town. And it's only about 13 people in the whole town. But take us. Now, wow. You weren't the only athlete in the family. Of course, your brother Edwin, you guys sort of followed each other, played the same sports, mostly were on teams together. What was that like growing up having your brother? And how many years did you play with him through high school? And was it every sport?
Well, I was a couple of years ahead of my brother, and my brother was a good baseball star. He played on a Lou Brock out of the University of Arizona. So my brother was a 3 sports letterman also. And as you know, Preston, we were the only black family that grew up in Globe. So the Weatherspoon was the only black in the whole town. So everybody knew us because we were in the sports, because we came from a family of athletic. That Sean Weatherspoon plays for Atlanta Falcons, his family. He was number 30. Yeah, he's family.
Wow.
So we came up to a family of athletic called Weatherspoon. And there's a lot of Weatherspoons up there that are my father's brother's kids that are playing up in the league now. So, but you know what? We were in the sports. You know, my dad was from the South and stuff. We grew up in Meridian, Mississippi, and he didn't want to raise his family back in Mississippi. So he brought us out west, and we ended up in Globe. It was a mining town, and he got a job. We stayed there and went through high school there. Everybody knows the Weatherspoon. I have a key to the city. We're very well known because we're the only one. Well, my brother and I are the only 2 that ever came out of Globe that got to the professional level.
Wow, that's interesting.
Small town, yes.
Incredible. I mean, that's amazing. I have to ask, is Preston serious? Is there really a statue erected?
No, I love messing with him.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's good to know.
Stacy, it's not Preston like to tease me with that.
Okay.
But if you go through Globe and ask about the Weatherspoons, I'm pretty everybody will tell you about who were the Weatherspoons, you know.
I was going to bet that it's, I know with folks like you that come from a small town and have such an impact, they typically have that when you enter town, home of the Weatherspoons or something there. So that is really neat. I have to ask, if I may, being a star athlete and coming from a family of athletes during the 60s at a time of unrest in this country and racial divide, what was that like in a small town like Arizona?
Well,
Arizona.
Yeah.
Well,
Globe.
Being honest with you, I really didn't experience the prejudice. We were the only black family in the whole town. At the time we were there, it was a population maybe 8 to 10,000 people. I graduated from a small high school, and you know what? Even though my folks was from the South and they brought us up just to, treat everybody like they should be treated. They never brought the black and white in it, but it was good. It was a good upbringing for being in a diverse environment, and it was nothing but Hispanic and white. And we were off the Indian reservation, but we had a lot of Indians. So we had a diverse and a lot of mixture of different kids at my high school, but we were the only blacks there in the whole town, and everybody knew us.
Wow, that's incredible. Truly incredible, particularly that time in history. That's amazing.
Yeah,
right.
Because as I've gone through life and I've been all over the country through my football playing, and everybody asks, what was it like living in a small town and you guys are the only black and stuff? And I have to be honest, and I say, you know what? We really didn't experience any prejudice because they knew my family, and it was the time where you didn't go over your friend's house and spend the night, and I was doing that and stuff. So everybody's knew us. So I didn't start really experience the prejudice until I got in junior college away from Globe. That's when I started experiencing it.
Wow.
Tell us about that journey in junior college. And we're particularly talking about Mesa Community College, and that's where I saw him. And I tell you what, I was really amazed at when I saw him, and I had no idea years later we'd end up meeting. But take us through that journey going to Mesa Community College, the sport that you played that a lot of people don't think was your major sport, and then how you got to Fort Lewis.
Well, in high school, I didn't get any scholarships. My cousin and I, the Nashes, I wanted to go into the Air Force, so I went and enlisted. I didn't enlist. I went and took the physical, and I had about 2 weeks before I take my oath. And I finally got a scholarship at Mesa Community College it wasn't for football, it was for track and basketball, because in high school I was dunking the ball, and that was my favorite sport, was basketball. Wow. And so I went there on a track and a basketball athletic scholarship for 2 years, and I was all conference, second team for basketball. I was all-American for track and field for the quarter mile and stuff. Yep. For 2 years. So that was my little things with Mesa Community. But after Mesa, I had scholarships at Long Beach State. I had them down in Texas at Texas Southern for track. And my basketball coach roommate at Fort Lewis, they were roommate in college. And my junior college coach had told Mr. Don Rayland, hey, you need to check this kid out, this Weatherspoon kid. He's 6'3", good speed, linky and stuff. And you know what? I think you need to recruit him. So they flew me up to Fort Lewis College. I looked at the school, looked around. It was up on a plateau, Colorado. I could have went to Long Beach State under Jerry Tarkanian. He was only going to offer me a partial scholarship for basketball. I wanted a full scholarship. So I went to a small college. I excelled up there, all conference, first team there. But I didn't play football at Fort Lewis. I was up there for basketball and track. So I played intramurals. So the football coach came out and saw my dorm in the finals on intramurals, and he saw me catching these touchdowns, outrunning everybody, and he talked to me in coming out to play football. I played football my last 2 years in college. My junior year, they told me that the pros was looking at me. I was number 2 or number 3 in the conference for passing, receiving. My senior year, I had like 1,400 yards with about 14 touchdowns and stuff. And they had told me that if you have a good senior year, you're going to get drafted. So work hard through the summertime. I came back my senior year. I tore it up. I scored. I did well. And I had Dallas Cowboys, Cincinnati Bengals, the Saints, Denver Broncos. At that time, it wasn't the combine that came to my college. And I ran the 40. The coaches came up there and clocked me in the 40. My quarterback was throwing me passes there. And so I had about 5 teams came and scouted me. And they had said, you have a good opportunity of being drafted and this and that. I had a good year and I rated for the draft. And I wanted to go to the Dallas Cowboys. That was my team.
Wow.
So I didn't go. I went in the 13th round at that time. Stacy, they had 13 rounds. They had 17 rounds at that time.
17.
I went in the 13th round, number 11th pick. And that's when Archie Manning, second year. And I played behind Danny Abramovich.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a big ball receiver. But what hurted me is that the reason I was there with 2 years and then they traded me to Denver, I got drafted by the Saints. And what hurted me, because I was out of a small college and they didn't think I had all the skills like coming out of a big university. And I was under John Royston, and I never forget it. Under J.D. Roberts. I was under J.D. Roberts with the Saints. And it was going into my second year, and they called me in and had told me they were going to have to let me go. And I was, 24, 25. And I said, why? I said, I'm the biggest receiver you have. I'm the fastest receiver you have. Then they would explain to me, well, because where I came out of, it doesn't mean because I was out of a small college, my skills wasn't that good. But they had drafted guys number 3, number 4, number 7. I was beaten out and all that. Archie Manning liked me and stuff because I was a big target. But, you know, maybe it wasn't meant to play 5 years or 10 years. I got 2 years in the league, Stacy, and, you know, I'm proud of that coming from a small high school. I'm the only one ever been drafted out of Fort Lewis College. I'm in 3 Hall of Fames. I'm in my high school, my junior college, and I'm in my college Hall of Fame. And, you know, I've been very fortunate, and I'm still that 1%. So
Yes, you are.
I'm that 1%.
You accomplished everything I dreamed I could, but I didn't do it, Cephus. So, you know, there's that. But listen, that's an incredible career. And in some strange way, it's almost comforting to hear that politics and bad decisions existed even back then. When you're clearly the best athlete or the best wide receiver in the room, there's such a theme here. Preston, same thing the first time we met. The Dallas Cowboys in that era. I mean, I guess if you'd been a wide receiver there, wasn't Bullet Bob Hayes playing for them back then?
It was
Lance Rensel
was there.
Oh, that's right.
It was Billy Joe Dupree was there.
Yeah, Billy Joe Dupree.
It was Preston Pearson was there.
Yeah.
Preston Pearson was there. It was what's that other receiver?
Lance Rensel was there.
Lance Rensel was there.
Yep.
Roger Staubach was the quarterback at the time and stuff. And for being a rookie playing against those teams, I was on the sidelines, and I mostly special teams my first couple of years. And I was looking at these receivers, and I've always felt that, you know, I was big as a receiver coming in because there wasn't a lot of big receivers coming in. It was like Lynn Swan, John Stallworth, and those guys. And I was 6'3" coming out of college, 6'3", 195.
You were before your time. Like you would fit today's game.
I was before my time.
Yeah.
And I just felt that, you know what, if they would have kind of kept me around a little bit longer and developed me a little bit more, I felt I would have been a good receiver because I had the ability, I had the talent, but that was that time, you know, hey, you know, so, but, you know, no regrets and stuff. I wish I could have played like Mr. Preston Denard about 12 years. But I've known Preston for a good little while, and my brother played for a little bit with the Redskins. George Allen. He was a defensive back. What took him out of the league, he was receiving kickoffs on a punt, and they came down and broke his collarbone. And back then, you stayed out the whole year. You know, nowadays you get hurt, you're back in within 3-4 months. But back then, because without the medical and all that, you were out the whole year. So that ruined him. And then he was with the Miami Dolphins under George Allen for one time. He got cut on the last preseason game and stuff. So he was with Pat Fisher and Dwayne Thomas. What's the other quarterback? But anyway, I forget. But that's our little thing about my career. And fortunately, I've been all over the world. I met 2 presidents. I had dinner with Prince Charles. I've been all over because of what I've done. It has opened up doors for me. I got my degree in education, a minor in bioscience. After my career was over, I was in the medical field for 20 years.
Wow. I
was in the pharmaceutical industry, and I was in the medical industry. I called on surgeons. I used to sit in operations because I had certain products I had to sell. So most of my experience was in the medical industry.
Yeah, that's incredible. What a great lit. Do you mind if we go back for a second? I'd love to get your perspective as a young guy in your 20s when you were drafted. I mean, there was a lot more rounds back then, but most of us feel like that was 10 minutes ago. I do. I was watching. Wasn't even on TV till late at night and some weird stuff. What was it like to get that call for you? You come out of this small town in Arizona. You go to Fort Lewis. Then you get the call to play in the NFL. I mean, what happened there?
When I was in college, my senior year, the scout was Henry Lee Parker. He was the scout for the Saints for the northern part of the country. And he was scouting me at Fort Lewis. When the draft came on that day, he had called me. And I thought Denver Broncos was going to draft me because I played up there. And Henry Lee Parker had told me that we think we're going to draft you with the New Orleans Saints. So stay close to your phone.
Wow.
So that day, the second day of the draft, I stayed in my dorms. I didn't go to my classes. They called me about 12:30 that afternoon, and it was him, and it was J.D. Roberts, and he said, is this Cephus Weatherspoon? I said, yes, it is. And he said, this is J.D. Roberts of the New Orleans Saints. We just drafted you in the 13th round. Welcome on board to be a part of a New Orleans Saints. I was 25 years old. And then I kind of had a little agent at the time. I didn't know too much about it because I didn't have anybody represent me. They gave me $7,000 back in 1972. That was my sign-in bonus. And that was a lot of money there, Stacy.
Oh, yeah.
$7,000. I gave my parents money. I was happy and stuff. Then that night, I was all on the news up in Colorado. Cephus Weatherspoon from Fort Lewis College just been drafted and had Lawrence McCutcheon got drafted the same year.
Right.
Out of Colorado. He had him and me and a lot of guys out of there, but I was the only one. But that was the day when I got drafted, knowing that, hey, all the hard work I put into it and all the dedication, it was a good day, a good feeling, and it was very exciting going to camp. It was at that time, excuse me, it was about 12 receivers in camp when I was there. 12.
Wow.
They had the veterans, the free agents, and the draft choices, and the walk-ons. So I was dealing with about 15 different receivers. At that time, they only kept 4 receivers. At that time, it was only a flanker and a split end. We didn't have the 3 or 4 receivers now. Now they keep about 6 receivers to a team.
Yeah.
They kept 4 on the regular squad, and they kept 2 on the taxi.
That's why. I mean, they have formations now that have 4 receivers.
They have formations,
or even 5 for that matter.
Yeah, good point.
Exactly. And everybody asked me what was my biggest thing. I played against the Miami Dolphins, started and this and that, and Lloyd Mumford from the Miami Dolphins knocked me out. That was my first catch in the NFL. And boom, man, I saw stars, and I said, the NFL, because I never got knocked
Welcome.
out.
So that sounds like you were part of their undefeated season. You were just another guy that got drilled.
Another one, yeah.
Exactly. And, back in those days, they called us the Aints. Because we never won a game,
remember.
Stacey. They put bags over their heads.
Bags over there, yep.
I remember seeing those bags from the field.
It was a journey for me. And because of the sports and the athletic ability, it opened up doors for me. I was very fortunate to get my education on an athletic scholarship. My brother and I was really close together. My dad worked in the copper mines. He couldn't afford to put us all to college. So we had scholarships and stuff. And my mom dropped out of school in the 7th grade, didn't get education. My dad was a senior in high school. He got drafted in the Army. So he wanted his kids to get education. And I'm the first blood that got a college education. And then my brother followed at the University of Arizona. So, but, I look back in my life and stuff, and it's like I look at all my pictures and all my newspaper clippings and stuff. It still brings back a lot of memories. And hey, I'm one of the group and very proud of it. But I moved on with my life, and everybody met me, say, how come you don't talk about your experience? I never been a bragger and whatever and stuff. I worked with a lot of people. Oh, Steve, we didn't know you played in the NFL. Why didn't you say anything? It was a big deal, and so, but I'm proud. I got some nice rings that I have. I have a Super Bowl ring when the Saints won the Super Bowl in 2010. Wow. They sent all the former players replicas of the Saints ring. It's in my drawer. I'd like to show it.
Really?
I know Preston's seen it.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen
I
it.
got a
Well,
Hall
you.
of Fame ring. I won the Super Bowl of golf for the NFL. I got.
There you go. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Tell us
I gotta
about
hear
golfing.
that.
Oh, well, I started golf years ago, and I was about a 7 handicap. And every year the NFL has a Super Bowl of golf, and I represented the San Diego chapter. I was a celeb, and I didn't know who I was going to get grouped. And the winner would go down to the Honda Classic in Florida, and we'll play against all the 32 teams, all the winners in the country. And I took my team down there. It was a 2-day tournament. We won it. We won it all. And we'll always be in that collage of the winner of the NFL Super Bowl of golf. And they gave us a nice NFL Super Bowl of golf ring and stuff. So that was my journey. And I still play golf in a lot of celebrity tournaments with Preston. I've been involved in Preston tournament for many, many years, which was a great tournament. I wish he still have it. And he still gets me involved. Hey, Spoon, I got a tournament going on. You think, you can make it and this and that. So he's always been in my corner and always got me involved. And the reason I started playing is because of him in the first place. He's the one that got me involved in tournaments and playing in golf tournaments. So I thank him for that. And so I've been all over the country playing golf. So,
well, let me tell you, I might have got him involved in golf, but he's a hell of a golfer. He can hit the ball. And he just, I go golf with him. He just inspires me to play. And so, I got new grips on my club, Spoon, so I can hit them, leave them a little better. At least I can hang on to them. They're not sliding around.
Wow.
One thing I want to recapture. You talked about the relationship with your brother. And of course, you guys had that on and off the field, on the court and all of that. But you guys had a chance to play together in the World Football League. Tell us a little bit about the World Football League, that little experience there, and then how you guys came to play on the same team.
Well, I was living in Phoenix at the time, and my brother's a very good athlete, and we've always very competitive, all this and that. You know how brothers are. Mm-hmm. And at that time, the NFL was going around giving sports camps or tryouts. And I called my brother. I said, hey, brother, they're having a tryout camp in Phoenix. It was at Phoenix College, Preston.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I called him, and I said, I knew the talent he had. I knew the ability. I said, brother, go try out. So he went and tried out, and out of probably about 150 guys, they only signed 4 that day. And they signed my brother. But getting back to what Preston with the World Football League is that when I was with Denver, Henry Lee Parker was the player personnel with the Saints. He was with the Southern California Suns. He called me. He said, Cephus, are you getting any action up in Denver? I said, no. I said, I'm on the team. I said, there's a lot of receivers up here. Haben Moses.
Yep.
Jerry Simmons. Gene Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Otto Stoll.
Yes.
All those, Riley Odom.
Oh, Big Riley. Yeah.
Billy Van Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
All those receivers. I was mostly special doing kickoff and punt returns. He called me. He said, we know what ability you have. And, we thought about would you like to jump over to the World Football League? We got Anthony Davis. We got John McKay. We got Pat Hayton. And this and that. And I think you have a good chance. So I said, sure. So I jumped over, which I should have stayed at Denver. But I was mostly on the development squad with Denver. Mm-hmm. But they kept me there. I knew I wasn't playing. It was going on my second year. Haben Moses was there, all these guys. I said, I'm not playing here. But I wanted to play. So I went to the World Football League. I was a starter. I played 3 games. And Henry Lee Parker said, I heard you had a brother. I said, yeah. I said, his name is Cephus Weatherspoon. He's a defensive back. He played a little bit with the Redskins and the Dolphins. And he said, what do you think about his ability? I just said, being honest with you, I said, he'll be a good defensive back for this team. They brought my brother in and tried him out, and they signed him. So me and my brother was on the same team together.
That is cool.
So after the third game, I went in to get tape before practice, and Ernie Wheelwright, you might know him, Preston. He said, Tom Fears want to see you. I know what was going on then. He said, we traded you to the Birmingham Americans. I played with Johnny Musso down there, and Matt Reed, the quarterback. I played with those guys. So they traded me, and they traded me. They got me first, but they traded me and kept my brother.
What? Brotherly love.
Started, and I was down there with Birmingham Americans, and I was down there for 4 games. After 4 games, that's when the league ended.
The league ended.
They ran out of money, and I was down there in Birmingham, Alabama, with playing football. That's when the league ended, and that was it. So I drove home all the way back to Arizona and decided what I was going to do with my life. And that's how my career ended after the World Football League. Then I wanted one more try. Ken Shipp was my wide receiver coach with the New York Jets. He was a wide receiver coach for the New York Jets. He was my coach with the Saints. I went to camp up in New York and tried out. We couldn't come to a contract agreement, and I said I was done. I just got hired in the pharmaceutical business. My company said, Cephus, if you want one more try, we'll let you go do it. You got your job when you come back. And I went up there, and I felt I could have made it, but they didn't want to offer me too much money. I said, screw it, I'm done. And that was it. And I went back to my job, and that's when my life turned. That's when my life got it going. And I was 28, 29 when my life ended in football.
Wow. And, and everybody talks about that transition and going from football. But the journey you had was really trying to make it just right on the cusp and get to the World League and, from 2 teams in the NFL and the World League and then get traded after your brother gets signed. But you've had a real struggle in showing people your real quality, but your quality was you sustained yourself and you were able to transition that into a very successful businessman. And I know that personally because, I've seen the work he's done. I've seen the travel he's done and the companies he's worked for. And then tell us real quick, and we got a little special something we want to do with you, but tell us real quick about how you started, you and your brother working together again. You guys started your own business, Weatherspoon Cleaning Service.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Anyway, I was in sales at the time. My brother was working for another lady. She owned a janitorial company, and my brother was running it while she was working. And excuse me. And I told my brother I was with the pharmaceutical industry 5 years. Then I moved over with a company and with Mariu Institute. We were the leader in the world in vaccines. I called them Henry Pasteur. And so they fired all the people in the United States. So I got about $50,000 from my 401k, my little retirement. And I told my brother, I said, brother, let's do this ourselves. I said, you don't have to wait for anybody. I said, let's do it ourselves. So he knew the business. So I went out and started learning the janitorial business, but I had the money, but he was already in it. So I took $25,000 and I invested half of my little retirement money into the Weatherspoon Cleaning Service. And it was no job we can't tackle, football. And since I've been in sales, I went out and got the business. He ran the operation because I was a sales guy. So I went out and got the business. This is Weatherspoon Cleaning Service. This is what we'll do for you. And they liked us because we were former NFL players. We came out in the newspaper, ex-football player, Orange County, California, starting the janitorial business. Right. And we were big, and we got big. And it was just my brother and I started it with 2 vacuum cleaners and a couple of mops. And it was him and I working every night, running the office. We kept growing, kept hiring people. We ended up hiring about 20 people. And, you know, sometimes when you get in business with family, things doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was in it for about, I was in the business for about 7 years. We got in an argument. He brought his wife into the business. She worked for Bank of America and kind of was controlling my brother, and I didn't like it. And it was kind of making me mad. And
Yeah.
I just said,
Tough time.
and so that's how it ended. And then I kind of bailed out of it. I didn't get out of it, but they grew to be big. They grew to have they had all the banks practically in California and Arizona. They got too big for themselves.
Yeah.
And they got really big and stuff. And so things didn't work out. I bailed out after 8 years in the business. They kept it for about 18 to 20 years. Very successful, but they lost it. And I hate to throw my brother under the bus and his wife, but when you don't pay your payroll taxes and you
that'll get you.
And if you're a little bit greedy, and if you don't treat people right, the man upstairs is going to take it away from you.
They'll find you.
They'll find you, yeah.
That IRS guy.
You know, I love him to death, and we had our little issues and stuff, but, you know, that's what happens. And, you know, you can't forget about people that you helped out and not treating people right and this and that. So that's what happened to the business. But it started off great, and while I was in it, it ran good. But once I left it, it kind of starting to go bad, and they got a little greedy because they were bringing in money. I was picking up checks for $100,000 a month for their business. Oh yeah, that's how big we were. And so I bailed out, and we moved on, and you know. But now, you know, Stacy, my life is good. I'm pretty sure Preston told you. I work with kids now. I work with mental health. I do that, and I mentor 7th and 8th graders. And I work for a good friend of mine. He's a former player, Reggie Berry, played for the Chargers. He started this program 20-something years ago. I've been working for him for 20 years.
Goals for Life.
Yeah, called Goals for Life. I go into the school district, and I teach him how to set goals. This is how I did it. So I give him some guidance. This is what you have to do to get to that level. You don't have to follow my footsteps, but this is what you have to do. You know, and so
I love that.
And I tell them about my life, how I got to that level by hard work and dedication and believing in yourself. Don't let other people tell you what you can't do. You know, have a goal. You know, people will tell you what you can't do. You're not smart enough. You're not, you're not good enough. You're going to hear that all your life. You know, but as long as you believe in yourself and you have the confidence, you can do whatever you want to do. You know, don't be like your mom and your dads. I work with kids, their moms and dads are in jail. I said, you don't have to be like them. You can be different. And what makes me feel good, and I'll stop talking, is I went into a restaurant about 3 months ago, and I went into this Mexican restaurant, and I was sitting down with Reggie Berry, and this waitress was staring at me, and I was wondering, I said, why is she staring at me? I know I look good and all that stuff.
Okay.
And I said, why is she staring at me? And she came over to me and she said, excuse me, sir. I said, yeah. She said, is your name Mr. Weatherspoon? I said, yeah. She said, Mr. Weatherspoon, you may not remember me, but I had you in 7th grade in Goals for Life.
Wow.
And I'm married now. I got 2 kids. It's because what I was taught from you made me get my education, and my life is so good, and I want to thank you.
Wow.
That touched my heart. And I get letters from kids that's thanking me. And you know what? I am blessed to do it. Maybe that's my calling. I've always wanted to be a counselor. I got accepted to go to the University of Greeley for guidance and counseling. The reason I didn't go because I got drafted, and I pursued my football career.
Okay.
But that was my taking to go in and work with kids, and that's what I wanted to do. I'm doing it on the back end of my life right now.
Came full circle.
Wow. He sure did. And Stacy, I can contribute this. A couple of weeks ago, last trip when I went to California, I had a chance to go and address the kids that he mentors as a guest speaker. And let me tell you, it was tremendous. I had a great time. The kids were very attentive. These were some 7th and 8th grade boys. And Spoon, thank you again. That was a great experience for me, just sharing with the kids. And you know, you can see it's like your parents. Your parents can tell you something, but the neighbor across the street or someone down the street can tell you the same thing, and you pay attention, right? Well, they just got to confirm what Mr. Weatherspoon is mentoring them there. So, man, great jobs. Kudos to you.
I love that.
And they still, I go to school, they still talk about you, Preston. Stacy, I tell him something wrong with this picture. I've been here 18 years, and Preston come to my school one day, and they kicked me to the curb. They kicked me to the curb. They wanted to meet Mr. Preston.
Oh, yeah, baby.
About you, and I thank you for coming, Preston. They're still talking about you. Oh, I met Preston Denard, and
wonderful.
And that was really good, and I thank you, my friend. And they still talking about you. Hey, who was that guy that was here? I said, oh, my good friend, and this and that. So, yeah, they still talking about you, Preston. That was really good. So,
well, good deal, good deal. Well, my friend, that moves us to a point in our program where we get to test your skills a little bit here, and it's called the 2-minute drill. Sometimes I do it, but a lot of times I like to shift it over to my partner because he enjoys this part. So I'm going to pass it on to my cohort.
Oh, wow.
The 2-minute drill, the Gridiron Icon podcast version. Take it away, Stace.
Okay, he's too good to me, Spoon. This is a really fun segment. I just want to say real quick, listen, you guys, the coolest thing and the thing that started this podcast way back in the day is getting those kind of messages out to people, particularly kids. That's what means the most to me on this planet, honestly. So those were 2 awesome stories. I love that. Okay, 2-minute drill, Spoon. Here we go. Okay. Former NFL, WFL wide receiver. Tell us, what was your favorite stadium to play in?
Well, my favorite one was the Dallas Cowboys. It was in Irving, Texas, not the new one now. I never played. The most people I played in front of was maybe about 3,000. When I got to the NFL, it was 69 and 70,000. So all the stadium was gorgeous to me, being honest with you, Stacy, because I played in a small stadium. So Dallas Cowboys, I played in all the great stadiums, but I have to say they all amazed me because they were so big. I never played in them.
Oh, wow.
Carpet and concrete.
So fun. Yeah, I, of course, hated the Cowboys because I was a diehard Rams fan, but it's funny the connection to the show.
Oh yeah, you saying that because Preston's next.
That's oh no, I don't know if you could see my two
players
behind me.
I see that. I sure do. I see that number 8.
Yeah, that's a true. I flat out throw myself under the bus. I love my Rams, particularly my 70s, 80s Rams. They're my favorites. So okay, enchiladas or collard greens?
I like them both. I grew up on Mexican food. I have to say enchiladas.
Ooh, okay. I like
me too.
it. Like it.
Me too. Okay. Cats or dogs?
Neither.
The first.
Oh, that's the first one.
I'm not into animals. I like them. I don't mistreat them. I have a lot of friends that have them. But me, with my busy schedule and my travels, I don't have time to take care of one. But my daughter had a little cat. I hated it. I have to get rid of him, Stacy. I have to get to the pound. But anyway, I love them, but I wouldn't own one.
Spoon, we're the same guy. Preston is hearing this for the same time. He's probably going to think less of me after we cut this episode. I'm not a pet guy. Love them. They're beautiful, magnificent. Don't let me take care of one. Not a good idea. Yeah. I'm so bad at it.
You guys are cruel.
We're bad.
To the world of animals.
First guy, Spoon, we bonded. Okay. Favorite movie. Your favorite movie.
Ooh, there's been a lot of them, man. But if I have to look back and stuff, and I like action type movies like Star Wars and I like Tom Cruise movie. I like action type movies like Top Gun, and I like Denzel movies. I love Denzel. Movies, Stacey.
Okay.
So There's a lot of movies I've seen that I would see again, and I have seen a lot of movies twice. But as far as the favorite, there's been so many I enjoyed.
I'm with you, by the way. Denzel's my guy. Going to expose myself to Equalizer movies. Some of my favorites. We're just going to leave that alone.
Yeah.
We'll leave it alone. But football, basketball, or track and field?
I have to say, if I had a chance to go right off the bat, it would have been basketball.
Wow. Okay.
Basketball.
Good call.
That's interesting. Preston, Nolan Cromwell, a lot of people on the show would join in with that. Okay. Your most underrated teammate at any level?
Underrated teammate. But when I used to play for the Saints?
Anywhere you want. Could be popular.
High school, it could be youth. Yeah, wherever. The one that should have got some recognition.
I think, I think my quarterback in college, Kurt Van Hazel, he was a lefty. I felt he should have maybe got a shot or maybe got invited to a camp because I thought he was pretty good because he was throwing me the deep ball, 60 and 70-yard bomb. But I have to say, I think Kurt could have gone a little bit. That's the top of my mind.
Nice. Shout out to Kurt if you're listening. I love that.
All right, Kurt.
And then your greatest football achievement?
I have to say my greatest achievement was being drafted. That's something as a kid I wanted to do. As a professional, I wanted to get that level. And you know what? I'll always be one of those that got there. And it was a tremendous feat to get there. I know the hard work I put into it. I know the dedication. I didn't go out and party and drink with my friends. My dad told me, if you bring home a D or an F in school, you're not playing. All through high school, I never brought home a D or an F in football because in my grades because I couldn't play. So, I have to say, my greatest was, I knew I had the talent and the dedication. And I have to say my football career, just to hard work. It's hard to get there. I'm pretty sure it's harder now.
Yep.
And it was hard. And like I say, I'm that 1% that got there, and that'll always go down in the record book.
In the record books.
It always been the record books. I got drafted by the New Orleans Saints, so I'm proud of it.
That's incredible.
That's something I can't call.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you were a free agent, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
But, there was a lot of teams that wanted me, but the Saints got me first. And, this little black kid from Globe, Arizona, and I'm worshiped there. And people say, oh, Cephus Weatherspoon, you're the only one. And, but they bragged about me, and I'm proud. I never let it went to my head. I never bragged about what I did. Even when I started my new companies, they never knew I played football. I never threw it up in anybody's face or anything. So.
No, you don't have to, because that statue is still outside on the highway.
Okay. But
he just flashes those rings. He's like,
he got some rings.
How you doing? Yeah.
He got some rings.
I wear them once in a while. Everybody says, why don't you wear? You know what? I don't wear them all the time. I go to sporting events. I don't put them on and stuff. And
I love it.
I don't know. I'm proud of them. It's not like I'm not proud, but I don't like bragging and stuff. People, I just, Preston know how I am.
We'll do that for you.
Yeah, just a humble guy from Arizona.
We're good.
Gotcha.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
Oh, we got one more question.
Oh, he got one more.
I thought I was done.
Don't cut us off, Spoon. One more, and then we'll close this fun time. We got to ask you the final question we always ask. Who plays you in a movie of your life?
Be realistic.
He can't. If he says Tom Cruise, I'm going to start making him do stuff,
I've been in so many airports, and I've been all over. I get mistaken by Morgan Freeman.
Really? Wow.
Freeman.
I see that.
By Morgan Freeman.
Oh, he would be a good one. There you go.
I
see that.
I went to had breakfast by myself, and I sat at the counter, and these two old guys looked over at me and they said, Morgan, can I have your autograph? And Stacy, this is the first time I lied in my life.
You lied.
I fired Morgan Freeman, and they were telling me I like your movies and this and that, but believe me or not, I get mistaken by Morgan Freeman.
Oh, I believe it.
And I don't think I look like him. He tear me down and this and that, and I don't think I look like the guy, but everybody say Morgan Freeman. Oh, Morgan Freeman. I go in hotels and stuff, and she said, "Are you Morgan Freeman?" I said, "No." And I get caught up telling
That is awesome.
No, I'm not.
That is so cool.
I have to say Morgan Freeman is the actor that I get mistaken by all the time.
Wow. I can see it. They probably want you to start talking with that voice, right? Like, say something, Morgan, and you're like,
well, I did voiceovers a little bit with my voice and stuff and all that, and I used to model, and I still model. I model clothes and stuff. I'm in some magazines. I'm in some sports magazines. I still have an agent for an old man like me.
Versatility.
you
calls every once in a while. Hey man, we need an old man up here.
you are a Renaissance man. Like this is like one of those. I started here, I ended up there. That's incredible.
Yeah. Everybody think I should write a book.
Spoon, this has been an absolute thrill. Thank you so much for joining Preston and I on Gridiron Icon. What an absolute pleasure to meet you. And we'll probably reach out back out and have you on again, because as always, we leave about 40 questions on the table by the time one of these little shows end. And Preston is gracious enough to let me hit the guests I really want to hit.
I want to thank both you guys, especially you, Preston.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Stacy, thank you so much for having me on. And that's my story of my life and stuff. And I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Well,
all right. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Okay. You guys take care. Happy New Year. And I hope to see you soon, Preston.
Oh, you got it, man. Golfing's in there. Hey, it's in order. Give me a call.
Okay, buddy. You guys take care.
All right.
Are you a golfer, Stacy?
I am really, really good at driving the cart. So if you guys want me to get the cart, get you some beverages. Otherwise, you don't want me anywhere near a golf club. Yeah, it's not pretty.
You guys take care. You guys be safe out there.
Thank you, my friend.
And I'll talk to you guys soon.
You too, folks.
Right, thanks for having me.
Folks, thanks for listening in on a great week here with Cephus Weatherspoon, better known as Spoon. Join us at Gridiron Icon every week, myself and NFL legend Preston Denard, as we unpack and visit with some of the greats from the game. We will see you next week. Follow us on all the usual spots, YouTube, and all the major podcasting networks. Be well. We will see you soon.
See you guys.